I am Dr. Ram Narayan, and I have been talking about the various problems that I handle in functional neurosurgery. I am sure all of you know about back pain. I am sure at least some of you have been really suffering, and at least some of you have undergone surgeries for back pain. But then there is a situation called failed back surgery syndrome. I am sure all of you would have understand because the name itself is suggestive. That is, somebody has a back pain. Whatever, I am not going into the reasons for the back pain. Back pain may be caused due to various conditions, including tumors or disc prolapse or what you call spondylolisthesis, whatever it is. But the patient undergoes a surgery. The surgery goes well, but this patient gets either the pain does not go away or the pain comes back within the next few months. Along with the pain, other situations like difficulty in controlling urine, all this may come back. This is what is called as failed back surgery syndrome. So this may be either pain in the local area or it may be pain in the back which is going to the legs also. There are many causes for this, like mist levels, arachnoiditis, so many causes like this. I am not going into the medical side of the causes of failed back syndrome, but in some people it fails. In fact, the literature says that even in the best hospitals in the world and in the best hands in the world, the incidence is about 30 to 40%. So that is, out of every 100 patients, there's about 30 patients, they have a chance of having their surgery going failed. The various reasons, again various reasons, and the surgeon and the institution is not in the list of reasons. That I want to make it very clear, because somebody should not think that I got operated, I got the pain back, so the surgeon is a problem or the hospital is a problem. No, this has nothing to do with the surgeon or the institution. In the best of institutions also, failed back syndrome happens. So how do you manage this condition? Again, just like any pain conditions, in fact, the WHO has described what is called as a WHO analgesic ladder. As per this, there is a pattern of treatment of any chronic pains, and failed back also we have to go through the pattern. So initially, when a patient with failed back syndrome comes, we give him general measures like bed rest for some time, medications, all this. In fact, I always send them to a psychologist because psychological reasons are one of the causes for recurrence of back pain. So all these things are done, and a good number of patients benefit from these simple techniques. Some patients may require higher levels of medications, including morphine tablets. Of course, in India it's not very possible, but in the Western countries, morphine can be given as a treatment for patients. You also give go to other levels like injections. Some people use this epidural steroids, or some people use this radiofrequency lesionings. You can inject the various nerves and other nervous structures in the various parts of the lower the legs and nerves which come to the legs and all that. You can reduce the pain. So these are all called radiofrequency lesioning or thermal procedures and all that. With all these techniques, almost 80 to 90% of the patients benefit. But there always remains 10 to 20% of the patients who do not benefit from any of these simple or non-surgical techniques. It is in these patients that we offer surgical options. The two surgical options which are used as one is intrathecal morphine pump, and second is spinal cord stimulation. Intrathecal means, as I said earlier, you deliver drug directly into the CSF, and this drug will be taken up by the various receptors in the spinal cord which will act on the pain system and control the pain. Studies have shown that there is a lot of morphine receptors in the brain and the spinal cord. So what we do is we put a pump under the skin here, and we deliver the morphine directly into the CSF through a catheter which is put under the skin and which delivers the morphine. The advantage of this is that you require only very low doses. In fact, there are patients who require up to 100 to 200 milligram of morphine every day as tablets. 200 milligram of morphine can even make an elephant go to sleep. So you can imagine the effect on a human being. What we propose is that what is this action of this drug is that the dose which is put into the spinal cord is only in microgram doses or very, very small doses, 1 milligram, 2 milligram like that. So the dosage is very less. So because of the very low dosage, the side effects are also practically less. The tolerance, the constipation, the sedation, and things like that does not happen. And then, one of the commonest problem, especially in pain, is what is called breakthrough pain. That is, breakthrough pain means, if suppose I am having severe back pain, I take a medicine. It will take about half an hour to 45 minutes for the medicine to start acting. Again, the medicine will last probably half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, like that. Again, the pain will come back. This is what's called breakthrough pain. That is pain in between two sets of medications, and this can be really severe. Because the pump works continuously, we are giving the drug continuously into the spinal cord. The pain relief is 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We can adjust the dose, increase the dose, reduce the dose based on the requirement. Intrathecal morphine pump is usually used for patients who have only pure back pain. Again, the other technique which we use is spinal cord stimulation. Spinal cord stimulation is used for patients who have pain radiating to the legs also, either one leg or both sides. Here, as we said earlier, we put a stimulator on the outside the dura of the spinal cord and connect it to a battery which is put in the lower abdomen. And we adjust the current so that the patient will not feel the pain sensation. The pain will be the blunted, so the pain will be much less and the patient feels comfortable. So these are the two advanced treatment methods for failed back surgery syndromes.